was Jen. Jen came to me for to help with fat loss, weight loss. We began the process, proper nutrition, training, cardio, supplements. We did this for quite some time. Nothing was happening. Um, at this time, it was around this time where I took my course on things that could affect you internally. It's called uh, functional nutrition. It was a functional nutrition course where we learned about PCOS, insulin resistance, weight loss resistance, autoimmune diseases, SIBO, gut dysbiosis. The list is very extensive to what we learned about. And with that being said, I asked Jen what she would think about getting some labs ran that included her hormone panel, because everything that I talked to her about was hormone related, and when your hormones are jacked, you are going to have a very hard time progressing. No matter what you're trying to do, you can tighten up your food as tight as you want it, as you can. You can do all the cardio that you want, but if the hormones are off, um, you're not going to make it very far. So when she got her labs and I looked over things, um, I was able to determine, her hormones were indeed jacked up. So was her insulin sensitivity was also just a complete mess. And the reason I know this is, well, we had her do the hormone panel because she told me about things that were going on, such as brain fog, um, menstrual cycles all over the place, and there's different things that can happen with your menstrual cycle to let you know that you may have hormonal issues or PCOS issues. But she was having a hard time sleeping. She was feeling depressed. She was having hair loss, and the list just continues to go on. When this happens, you just kind of feel awful all the time. So once I looked at the labs and I noticed, what everything that was jacked up when it comes to her hormone levels, DHEA, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, all of those out of balance. Well, that was the first indicator that we need to take care of this. But as I continue to read through the labs, um, uh, looked at her A1C. She was in a pre-diabetic state, 5.7 or 5.8, can't remember exactly which one. When I saw that, I went down and I looked at her insulin. Her insulin was off. Her glucose was well over 100. This lets me know that she's also insulin resistant. So there is something called insulin resistant PCOS, and that's exactly what this came out to be. So my objective here is to let you know um, about the effects of insulin resistant PCOS. And I'm going to just begin by telling you what PCOS is in general. But before I do all of that, I just wanted to again commend Jen on the work that she did. Once we figured out what was wrong, we had to put her on a special supplement protocol, uh, very special nutrition plan. Just a lot of things had to go into this, but she never gave up. This is a process. It takes time. It takes consistency, patience, and you just have to have it in your mind that you're going to make it through this and you're going to get over all of these issues that have been bringing you down. And you're no longer going to have that issue with losing weight because you have everything fixed now. And that's exactly what she did. And she continues on today with her journey of getting leaner. But that picture that I put up of her before and after is a result of what happens when you actually fix your hormone issues, or if you don't even have hormone issues and you're insulin resistant, what happens when you fix that insulin resistant. So with that said, I'm going to get into a few things in terms of PCOS and let you guys know what exactly insulin PCOS is and kind of how we fix that. So stay tuned. Let's get to it. All right. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can, but I'm going to try to give you the best points that I can out of this to let you understand, what PCOS is and what insulin resistant PCOS is and how we can team up to fix this if you have these issues. So first of all, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and the way that you determine if you may have it is, as I mentioned before, irregular or infrequent menstrual cycles. These could be heavy bleeds. These could be cycles where, you know, you start 2 weeks after you finished, or you go 8 weeks, no menstrual cycle. And this is not with you on birth control. If you're on birth control, it's a little different story. But if you're not on birth control, then and you start to have periods that are all over the place, there's the potential that you have PCOS, but you definitely have something that is hormonal related that you should fix. And let me just tell you, if you go to the doctor for this, you're having heavy bleeds, you go to the doctor, they're going to put you on progesterone and never check anything else with your hormones. And you could already be in an estrogen dominant state, and that happens a lot. So if you don't even need to be put on progesterone, but they do it because it will stop these heavy bleeds, you're when you are put on progesterone, it's going to take your estrogen even higher, causing you to be even more estrogen dominant. So that's going to present more issues to you as time goes on. Uh, so you can have poor insulin sensitivity, which is what happened with Jenn. And you can have hyperandrogenism, where your androgens are just either super elevated, or you could have super high test levels, DHE levels, and then estrogen just be tanked, or vice versa. But it's a genetic component set off by poor diet, stress, sleep issues, or it could even be all of the above. Now, you go to your doctor, he says that he's going to do an ultrasound to see if you have any cyst on your ovaries, or you may have PCOS. You're not going to know about PCOS through ultrasound. You're going to determine it through other factors, which is not an ultrasound. So if he tells you that, just grab your things and run, run, and run. He's not going to help you. He's going to do one of these things up above that I told you that is just going to be a quick band-aid. It's going to be nothing that's actually going to help you, because if he puts you on that birth control to help those heavy bleeds or whatever, and you stop that birth control, or that birth control is causing you other side effects, well, as soon as you stop, here come those heavy bleeds again. Here comes that menstrual cycle even more jacked up than it was before. And now you have potential for even more hormones to be completely messed up because you went on this birth control. Now, we're going to move into the next part of this. All right, so insulin resistant PCOS, again, is what we're looking at, and this makes up 70% of PCOS cases. You do have other PCOS types. There is weight loss PCOS, adrenal PCOS, and inflammatory PCOS, which all have different indicators. There's going to be, meaning there's different ways to determine if you have this type of PCOS. But anyway, for the insulin resistant PCOS, we're going to look at fasted insulin levels. It must be fasted. You can't go get your blood work done in the middle of the day when you've had, a couple meals. It's just not going to come out the way that it should. Everything on that lab is probably going to be misconstrued some way. And then you'll look at your fasted glucose. You can do this at home with the glucometer, but if you're getting your blood work done, obviously they're going to get it for you too. Your A1C levels is the next thing to look at. Now, you can have good A1C, you can have good glucose levels, but your fasted insulin level is going to be, it could be tanked, or it could be over 10. Ideally, we want it 10 or below. 8 would be really good. So 10 and below, or for damn near perfection, 8 and below. If it's out of that range, then you can pretty much factor in that you have insulin resistant PCOS, even if your glucose and A1C are in check. But when this happens, one of your androgens is generally going to be elevated. It's probably going to be your testosterone levels pushed up. Your DHA could also be pushed up, but 9 out of 10 times it will probably be test. You could also, and on your general labs, your androstenediol or dione levels are not going to be included. So if you did have if your insulin levels were off and your DHEA or your test were in check, you could still have one of these two off, and you're not going to know it without getting a special test ran for those two. Um, Now, also just wanted to point out what all of these, let me just make a note what all of these levels should be for you. So we know that your insulin should be 10 or under. 8 is ideal. I'm going to put out here, or I'm just going to jump to the next phase of this and give you your readings up here on top so you can continue to maybe look at that as we move on. So your fasted glucose levels technically should be between 65 and 99. With me, if I have someone on a program and I'm having them check their glucose levels, I technically want their glucose levels to be in the mid 80s to the low 90s. And this also depends on body weight and how long have you been doing this. But 65 to 99 is your typical listing um, on your in your blood panel. Your insulin fasted, we already talked about, 10 or below. 8 or below is ideal. Your A1C, 4.8 to 5.6, 5.7, I think, to 6.4 is a pre-diabetic stage. 6.4 and over, you are deemed diabetic. So if you go over 5.7 or 5.6, or you're even at 5.6, you need to probably do something to get your health in better check and start to bring that down. Now, just moving on with this, ways that you would fix this. And as I mentioned to you, we can do this. It's exactly what I did with Jenn. We have to take a look at training. If you're someone who's training a lot, we may need to pull that back because one of our biggest key factors with PCOS is bringing down the inflammation on the ovaries. So that's one big key to that is pull back training, pull back anything else that would bring inflammation to the body, and this can also include certain foods raise inflammation inside the body. With we don't even know it. Most of us don't even know it, but we would have to change up the current way of eating, put you on those foods that aren't going to cause inflammation. Supplements are going to be a must, and what I would do here is just put you on whatever I think is necessary to help bring all of these things back into check without you having to go to a doctor and get prescribed this or that. And like I mentioned before, you go do that, you're liable to be put on something that's not going to help you in the long term. What I'm going to do here is help you in the long term. I'm going to help you if you're insulin resistant without PCOS. We'll fix it. I've done this multiple times now. But if you're female and you have PCOS, let's fix it all. Get you feeling better from all aspects. And if you're having trouble losing weight, this could be something to really change that around. But as I mentioned with Jen, the biggest key to this is you have to be consistent. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to put in the work and stay on point with that food. That food is a major component to this, from keeping that inflammation down, but also not just the inflammation for the PCOS, but the reason you're insulin resistant most of the time is you're someone who's taking in an excessive amount of calories, excessive amount of sugars, and you just get to that point to where this is what happens. So, like I said, I would be happy to help. Definitely qualified to help with everything that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. All of the PCOS syndromes I'm able to assist you with. Insulin resistant, we can assist you with. Just weight loss resistance, on its own, we can fix that. Hashimoto's, there's ways that you can feel better. We can't fix it, but we can have you feeling better, way better. And the list just goes on and on. So, like I said, I'd be happy to help you. Thank you for taking time to listen to me ramble here about this. If you're someone that maybe some of this information gave you a little insight as to you are someone who's suffering from insulin resistance or insulin resistance with PCOS or PCOS and a different factor, let me know. I'd really like to know, how important this information that I'm putting out could be to someone. But anyway, thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll be on the lookout for future videos, and I will talk about things such as hypothalamic amenorrhea can't say that word properly. I will talk about weight loss resistance in general. Post-birth control syndrome is a big thing. People don't even know about, but it's there, and it prohibits you from feeling good. It prohibits you from losing weight. But that's enough. Everyone, have a great night, and thank you again for taking the time to check this out.